Hello, and welcome to Conversations for the Soul, the show where real women have real discussions and real talk about real issues. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I want to just take a moment out to open the floor up to my co-host with the mostest, the hostess with the mostest, there, Miss Yaschica B, the Eclectic Mindset Motivator.
Listen, I was waiting for that other intro. I'm up here looking like this all still. I was waiting for the second.
My bad. My screen had blanked out on me for a second, so it was going.
Yeah, okay.
Now I'll give it to you just so we can start over again. That's the beauty of live TV. Here you go.
Absolutely.
Live show. There you go. You good now?
I'm good now. Now I feel like I just got hit start. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. I've already shared it to my social media platform so I can see who's over there talking and who's not talking. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have people that's coming in. Angie and I are very transparent. We always tell you what's going on. So what has happened in the last few weeks, we kind of been off and on, missing the spot just a tad bit because I had an engagement last week. It was a boxing weekend for me. So with that being said, it was real busy, so I couldn't come on. And I didn't want to leave Angie out there. Let's see, it didn't matter if I left out there or not. She just picked up a piece. She just we can balance each other. And the week before that, we had Angie did a solo, which was awesome. Was it the week before that or week prior to?
I believe the week before that, yes.
The week before that, yep. Yeah, mm-hmm. But she did awesome with that, with she and Dr. John, right? I didn't see him on there when I was watching the replay. I think he would. Awesome. We've had some great guests.
Yeah.
The introduction.
He introduced our speaker. And then
so I do want to shout him out. Thank you so much for stepping in and filling in that gap for Yaschica B. I appreciate it. But it's good that we have that we do have him to jump on, because at one time, remember, we was a trio. We had him in our back office.
Yeah, back when he said he was going to be there for us, and then he decided it was too much estrogen.
Absolutely. So he fired us all.
That's why we always talk bad about men now.
Originally, we had Carlos Jones scheduled to speak tonight to talk to us culturally. We can do better. However, we're going to table that to next Sunday, which is what's next Sunday's date? The 7th? Let's look at this calendar real quick. I'm waiting on mine to come up. I clicked it on the computer. What is this? Because if it's the first, it would have to be the 7th, right? 7 days later. So yeah. So next Sunday. Huh?
Today is the 1st. So
the 8th. Yep.
It'll be on the 8th.
Next Sunday, the 8th, we will have Carlos Jones coming to give us some enlightenment about the younger group and how they really think. And he's saying culturally, we can do better. He's talking to the young men, and not just the young men. He's also talking to the young ladies as well. So we're going to be here next week with something to really learn from. And then the following week after that, we also have another special guest. We're going to be talking about multiple sources of income, coming to America, the American dream, and why it's important to secure the real bag, not the bag that the real bag. So the next couple of weeks, we should have some pretty interesting conversations between Dr. Angie and I and our special guest. And it should be something that truly you can learn from, share, and just take away. But now you have the two of us, because I know you've been waiting just to talk to us, right? So what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about consistency, preparation, accountability, and responsibility. Because if we can't tell you guys what to do, if we don't, or either, I didn't say tell you what to do. Yeah, I do tell you what to do. But we also want to be examples too, because to let you know, life does happen. Life happens to you. You can plan something. Yeah, that's a better. See what I'm saying? She's like the thesaurus. She always has the right words.
Oh boy. For me. I said, oh boy.
Yep.
So the good thing is that we have quite a few people who have hopped on. I just want to take a moment out to acknowledge them before we get started. Mm-hmm. I see Mr. Davis is on. Esavari is on.
Mr. Davis
Dr.
is on.
Gray is on. So I'm happy to see everybody that is on, and they are partaking, and hopefully they'll throw in some comments and some questions. I see that there is Janet St. Hilaire is on. So we are in for a good show, and we know that we must sometimes be able to pivot, because we never know. This is what live broadcasting is all about. Live broadcasting is exactly that. You get what you get when you get it. So we try to do our best to stay on point, stay ready. What you say, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
Stay ready,
so
absolutely.
Try to stay ready.
Yeah, and while we're staying ready, again, we're just those type of people. We have to just let it go, how it goes, let the flow go, and just deal with it accordingly. And we do like to share, because we also want you to understand, when you have to pivot, it doesn't mean it always has to be something negative. When you have to pivot, make the best out of it. Smile, laugh at yourself. Just take a few minutes and just shake it off and just laugh and be like, okay, oh well, it happens. So we learn absolutely every day. Every day. Never stop learning. Even when you're learning about yourself, you have to keep learning. You have to keep exploring and keep allowing other things to come in and open yourself up. Be like a blossom or fresh air or something. What else blossom? What? Bloom. That's, see, you're supposed to help me out with these words. You know, like
you on your own, girl. You're doing great. You don't need any help. Need any help. You know I got you back when you need it, but you didn't need it.
Okay, so let's just bloom and open up, just like breathe in, breathe out, and just learn something. Take some good stuff in, and whatever we don't need, let it out. Like we say, eat the meat and spit out the fat, right? Because not everything is going to be valuable, but not everything is going to be non-valuable. Because I trust me, if you can look for the lesson in absolutely everything, you can get a lesson in something. Y'all follow me on that one?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I can tell you for sure is, in every experience, there are two things. One is the blessing and one is the lesson. So we have to take from every experience what we can learn from it, and then be blessed by that, because it's going to teach us and prepare us for the next thing that comes down the pipe. And that's what life is all about. We, particularly as women and women of color, we have to be able to just pivot and do what we have to do to make things work. So I am excited to know that we are on the same page, because you and I are not always on the same page, but we're on the same page for not necessarily for the details, because the devil is in the details, but we usually get to the same point. And the point that we make today is, it's time to learn every day. And that means learning about yourself. It means learning about others. It means learning about your community. But above all, it means learning on purpose. Being intentional about learning. And that's one of the things that we gathered when we were in class together, when we were taking classes together and we were being coached and all that good stuff. One of the things we learned was the importance of reading books, the importance of reading. So that's something that talking about.
Wait a minute, you said the importance of reading, or we got to read them once we get them, right?
Yes, because we keep buying all these books, but if you ain't reading them and they just sitting on the shelf collecting dust, that's not exactly what we need. We need to actually spend some time reading every single day. That's one thing that Les Brown was clear about. He started every day by reading 30 to 40 minutes every day. That's what he said is important and crucial to our success. And success is certainly one of those vague words, because success is different for everybody. But one of the things that you point out is do something different. And the way that we learn to do something different is by reading different things. Read, get other perspectives, get other ideas. Take those things and make them your own. Just because you read something, every one of us can read something and read it from a different perspective and have a different background, different experience. So we get so much from that. And when you read it at different times, you can go back and read the same scripture 365 times, the 365 days. Every day, read that same exact scripture. And you will walk away with something different every time, because it's about where you are. It's about your experience. It's about what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your heart, what's going on in your immediate experience, what's going on around you, your environment. All those things matter.
And then when you talk,
I know my husband's going to tell me I'm doing a lot of yakking right now, so I'm just going to
take it down a little bit. If I look like I'm fizzing, that's because actually we talk about books, and I was trying to put my hand on mine, and I don't even have mine sitting next to me. What kind of mess is that? So y'all give me a second. I'm gonna grab mine. Andy, you grab yours, because we're talking about books. We might as well promote our own, right?
Well, I don't have mine handy either. Look, you get yours, and then I'll go get mine. You're the worst. So one of the important things that we must actually make sure that we're doing is reading. Reading is critical. It's crucial. It's part of the everyday experience that when we leave that aspect out, leave out a whole piece of us and who we are, because reading shapes who we are. Reading allows us to grow. It allows us to take ideas and expand on those ideas. Not that we are pilfering from anyone, but everyone has a different perspective. They have a different approach. And what we learn to do is what works for someone may not work for us, but we get that same information and then figure out what does make it work for us. So it's important that we be ready to do that. I see Yaschica B has joined us back, so I'm going to pull her in. And
Before I even show mine, the book that I wrote, I want to show the audience something else. Like, this is one, The Science of Getting Rich. And I absolutely do something with this every single day. It's an free audio on YouTube of that book. And this one, U Squared, is another one that talks about a quantum leap. So those are two books that are right now. I've been holding on to these books for the last 6 to 8 months, but the last 4 months, I have really been reading and applying what they are talking about to everyday life. And every now and then you get off a little bit, but it's gonna always come back on. Now, my own books, I have two. One being Mothers and Daughters. It's an anthology with me and 6 other women. The other one is A Mother's Love Tested, Why Not Me by Yaschica B. And both of these, I am the author. I'm proud of that. And in the Mothers and Daughters, my book, A Mother's Love Tested, Why Not Me, my very own Dr. Angie Gray wrote the foreword. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. And it's doing really good. Both of them you can find on Amazon right now, or through me, which I prefer everybody just go to Amazon, because we're going to talk about that multiple sources of income in 2 weeks from now. So y'all be ready for that, to understand that small things, little things can set up those sources. And also, now that Angie's back on the screen, why do I feel like I got dark a little bit? Let me fix this light. Oh, hold on. I'm about to hit myself upside the head with it. Okay, so I'm just saying, is
this an episode of I Love Lucy or what?
I don't know. There's all kind of stuff be going on, right? So anyway, if we have anyone in the audience in our chats that also have books, please feel free to drop your titles and your links. We don't mind. We share. We share everything, because one thing we do know is there's plenty of room, and we have an abundance world. We don't have to live like we're in scarcity. The only time you're in scarcity is if your mind is in scarcity. If you open your mind up and be plentiful and in abundance, you will always have abundance. Remember that. It's what you conceive, what you perceive with your mind. What your mind tell you always have. Okay? Y'all remember, you heard it here first. It's a practice, y'all. It's a practice. But hey, it really does work.
Good. So one of the things, I'll show you my first one. This one is about spiritual principles.
Your first one? How many you got?
So one good sip at a time, 7 guiding principles for spiritual growth. That one is really nice, because this one helps you to connect to your relationships. And those are all of your relationships that you were just speaking of. Your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your higher power. I call mine Jesus. It helps you to connect with your relationships to your family members, your direct loved ones, all those things. Relationships are important to help us grow spiritually. And that doesn't necessarily mean religiosity. That doesn't necessarily mean religion and going to church. It means spiritual, that connection to your inner man. So this is a really good one for that.
Hold on, stop. Time out. What's that word you said again? Let me give me a pen. I'm gonna write. What you said? A religiosity. What?
Oh, religiosity.
How you say that? What?
You are funny. So religiosity. I'm not even sure that's a real word. It might be a word that I made up, to be honest with you.
It sounded good to me. I got it. I'm gonna rock that one.
I'm waiting for Dr. Gray to hop in there and tell me whether or not that's a real word, because that's what we do.
You know, he's probably looking right now. Let me
sometimes things come in and out of our heads that don't truly. He said, "I'm making up words again." Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That's all right. It works.
You were involved with our little thing yesterday where he was messing with me while I was trying to prepare and study and do what we were just talking about, reading and improving ourselves. He kept messing with me while I was doing that, and he caused some things to come out of me. I'm not going to say exactly what, but he made some things come out of me that he's trying to make everybody think that I'm a violent person, but I'm not violent. And I know you're not violent either. You just put that thing up there about the knuckle sandwich, but you were just sharing that with us.
Yeah, every now and then we have a little humor.
You weren't promoting violence, were you?
Of course not. Not today.
Exactly. So anyway, so that being said, so religiosity, that is something that I say is what is man-made. Now, certainly it sounds interesting for a first lady, a pastor's wife, to say that religion is not as important as spirituality. And that is how I truly feel about that. And I'll be honest with that. Religion is very nice. It's nice to fellowship. It's nice to worship. Those things are important. Those things are part of building your spiritual growth. But it has to start with your spirituality first. Because like the pandemic just showed us, the pandemic showed us that it's not about the house. It's about what's inside of us that's important. That's what matters. So it's important that we realize that church is brick and mortar. It's what goes inside of the church, the people, the hearts, the minds, the spirits, the souls. Those are the things that are critical and crucial. Those are the things that we work on when we start developing our relationships, inner relationships with our higher power, relationships with our loved ones, relationships with money, relationships with anything and everything. It's all about relationships and making sure that those are healthy relationships. We can have an unhealthy relationship with food. We can have an unhealthy relationship with shoes. I say shoes because everybody knows I love shoes. So if we have an unhealthy relationship with shoes, that's not going to get us where we're going. That's going to keep us from moving forward and doing what we're supposed to do if it's unhealthy, if it's left unchecked. Same thing with clutter. All these things get in the way. So we have to learn to deal with the inner man, that soul, that spirit that's within us. The Holy Spirit.
You said even with the clutter, so that means that when you talk about your mind, if you're not nourishing and cleaning out your mind as well, taking in goods, releasing the rest, you can also have a lot of cluttering going on up in there that's not healthy. Is that we can tie that in there too? That mindset?
Absolutely. 110%. Because Yaschica, I will tell you that when my mind is cluttered, I can't function. I start making dumb mistakes. I start making stupid choices and decisions and things that just, I look back on, I'm saying, now what in the world was I thinking when I said that? What in the world was I thinking when I did that? And whenever I go back to it and really look at it, it's because it's amid clutter. There's clutter in my head. There's clutter in my mind. And if you're not working to remove that stuff, you're stuffing it and it's coming out. It's popping up anytime it feels like it.
Right.
Remember those experiments we used to do in school with the Coke and the peppermint, and you pour the Coca-Cola in there, and then and the peppermint and the Mentos or whatever it was, and then the stuff would just explode. Well, that's what happens with our mind. We start making those explosive decisions, those explosive reactions. We start being not filtering what we say. We blow that filter off of things, and that can really be damaging. And then you can spend the rest of your lifetime trying to clean up that explosive mess that you made. And that's just not good. It's not healthy. And the best way to beat that is to prevent it. So you prevent it by doing what you said, working on yourself. We start every day with writing down our gratitude list. I close out every day with writing down a gratitude list. So a lot of people don't understand the importance of this. Gratitude is incredibly important. And I say writing it down because as much as we talk about it, we pray about it, we meditate about it, all of those things are important, but it's so important to write it down. As the Bible says, write it down, make it plain. Write it down, make it plain. It makes a huge difference. And it resets the brain. It pushes that clutter around and pushes that clutter to a point where you can start to be able to see what matters. You can see perspective. You can see what you need to see. You can get your steps ordered. You can't order your steps when you're stepping around landmines. You got to be able to walk directly. And the way to do that is to start with that gratitude. That helps us to order our steps.
I was about to ask the deacons to give it him. Well,
sometimes it just comes out. It just comes out. You know how it is, And you know what that comes from? That comes from reading and studying. When people are not bothering you, when you can keep the distractions away, even if they live and breathe, keep that distraction away, Doc, I ain't gonna mention any names, but anyway. Mr. Davis says, junk in, junk out. I love it, Mr. Davis. And Dr. Grayson is a great analogy. And he had put it out there that somebody said black eyes matter. So I don't know what he's talking about, but anyway.
I don't know. I have no clue either what that means. I just want to piggyback a little bit on what you were saying about the cluttered environment, because even I realized that, that it's just too much. So what I started doing, I started separating and pulling back. Sometimes you can say that I'm being antisocial or I'm being to myself or standoffish, but I always want to challenge the people out there, when you're thinking that way of a person, not necessarily are they being standoffish. They may need that for them. So sometimes just take our personal selves out of that, and then you can allow them to do what they need to do for them. It's not about you. And I had to learn that, that right there is like, okay, you could be your friend, you're talking all the time, every day, then all of a sudden they just back up, but it's not about you. If we can just pull that out, it's not about you, because in this day and time, especially now, we do need to unplug. And we are always saying, unplug. You're always thinking, or they're always talking about social media. No, you need to unplug from your friends and family too. That's just as important. Unplug from different type, because sometimes it may be information coming to you that you just don't need to hear right now. It might be coming before 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't need to know about that right now, because I'm trying to get my mind right for the day. I haven't even had a chance to command my day yet. You already talking about Janet over there doing duty. I ain't got time for that.
And you know what? That's so crucial, and that's so important. That's why it's so important to get up early in the morning. You want to get up early in the morning before all of the drama starts, and you want to take care of yourself before the day gets started. Absolutely. So start with your prayer, your meditation, your gratitude list, your stretching, your exercising. I go for a walk every morning before my family even opens their eyes. I'm up and out walking. And it's important. It's critical that we take care of self first. Then we can handle everything else. Because that self-care piece is not selfish. It is selfless. Because when you can take care of yourself, then you have room to take care of others. But if you all laid up, depressed, can't move out the bed, and I've been there, done that.
Mm-hmm,
When
mm-hmm.
you have those things going on, you can't help anybody. So it's
Nope.
important that we learn to take care of self first. We
Mm-hmm.
must take care of self first. And,
Absolutely.
and that's something that is supported spiritually. You
Mm-hmm,
know,
mm-hmm.
in the Bible, Jesus would go out to the mountains before everybody else got up moving around. He was out in the mountains praying out there. And that's what we have to do. Pray, meditate, get ourselves together, get our minds right. And it's so funny because Shika, that reminds me of a sermon that Pastor preached some years ago. Got to get my mind right. And I love that sermon because it's so true. You have to get your mind right so that you
Yeah.
can appropriately deal with
Mm-hmm.
all of the dealings of the day, everything that's
Yes.
happening during the day. Don't deal with
Because
it when you're hungry. Don't deal
yep.
with it when you're angry. Don't deal with it when you're working on something else, when you're distracted. You got to be able to compartmentalize and deal with things after you've taken care of yourself. Like Maslow's
Absolutely.
hierarchy of needs.
Yep.
People learn about that in psychology and all that. I know you and I have talked about that before. You got to make sure you're safe, make sure you're secure, make sure you're
Mm-hmm.
taken care of. Then you can start dealing with the other things.
Mm-hmm. My
And I
phone
see,
goes to sleep every night between 8:30 and 9, and it literally goes to sleep. So I have but wait a minute, I tell you about me now. I did that for a reason, to unplug. And it doesn't come back on until the next morning at 5 or 6. But if I'm sitting there being nosy when I'm supposed to be resting and getting my me time, I'm gonna say, oh, let me see who done text me. And everybody, most of the people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis know that my phone goes to sleep at a certain time. And it's funny when I look over there, it's like, why are you texting me at this? You know my phone sleeps. My best friend, where are you? I'll say, my phone is off. You know, it goes to sleep. Well, it's just let me through. So even with that, even with the let me throughs, you love them to death, but we're gonna have to start blocking those let me throughs too, because especially in the mornings. Because what I do is put on this. I remember that Pastor Vincent always say, put on the armor of God, command your day. So if you don't allow, if you're checking that phone first, you run. Even Ghost gotta wait sometimes. Yeah, he gotta wait because I need to put my armor on because I don't know what's getting ready to attack me as soon as my feet
that's
ground.
right.
So I gotta put my armor on before I even get out of the bed. And when I don't do that, when I've been doing it, practicing this thing, and when I get out of alignment, you better believe my body and soul knows it, that I'm out of alignment. I didn't do something, whether it wasn't my gratitude, whether it wasn't my, I like to listen to Joel in the morning because he always knows what's going on with me because he be talking directly to me, you know, what he do. So and then when he want to switch me over there to hear some other folks like, you know, anyway. So that's what happens in the morning. But when I'm out of that, I know it. And
Right.
so in the evening time, when we was talking about this unplugging, the last few nights I've been unplugging to the point where I was like, you know what, I need to know something else. I just need to be in another space. So I just lay there and listen to meditation music, nothing else. I don't need to listen to nothing with words, just listen to something meditation and just listen and just go into that, you know, that zone. And that again is equipping my inside. Cause see, I'm working on myself from the inside out. And it works. And when we talk about the soul, because you can't just fix this surface thing that everybody sees. You got to go inside, fix you from the inside out.
Sister. Yes.
Okay.
That's beautiful. And I'll tell you what we have added to that.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Grant and I have added to that aromatherapy. So we have the diffuser going at night. The calming diffuser, the aroma, all that stuff, the music, it just makes so much better the time that you're preparing to go to bed. It's like a process. Get yourself in the routine of doing these things. And I was laughing when you were talking about your phone going to sleep, because how about the nights where because you know my phone goes to sleep too, and it's funny, the nights where we trying to get to each other and then it keeps going, you know, we keep putting the phone down with text and then it'll say, oh, I missed you because my phone is asleep, and then we call right back, and then we can't get through it. That's the funniest thing. But it's important. It's so important that we unplug. What you said is just so valuable. It's very, very valuable. I want to grab a couple of comments as we move forward with this thought of self-care, which is actually selfless, which we were just saying. So I see that Mr. Davis said, update your mind. filter and help clean your mind, and it's so important. That, and you know what else is really good for that, Chica? Journaling.
What's that?
Write it down, journal, not just write the gratitude list. The gratitude list is wonderful, but do more. Do that brain dump. Write it down. Just any. It doesn't have to be structured. It doesn't. You don't have to worry about grammar and spelling. Just get it off of your heart and mind. Just put it down on paper. It's key.
Yep. And then if it's something that's affecting you, that like the negative type things, write them down, tear them up, throw them away. Or burn them. You know, those things that, just write that stuff down. Get it out of there. Tear it up, burn it, and watch it burn.
Yes. I see that Miss Pele has joined us. She said, Talofa, beautiful ladies. Hello there, Talofa, Miss Pele. One of our biggest fans. She's always present, so thanks for that. I see Lawana Broughton. And she has joined us. She says, amen. And she has a whole bunch of explanation points. So that tells me she's feeling what we say. I love that, Lawana. And Pele says, yes, unplug from friends and family. Amen, amen. Absolutely. Calibrate your mind. Love that, Lawana. Calibrate your mind. Absolutely. Love that.
And that's why some of y'all need to calibrate them scales too, because you did not lose 2 pounds. You just ain't calibrate that scale. You ain't lose that weight.
We got somebody on here from Uganda. Hello,
yes,
Eric.
What a delight! I spoke with him earlier today. It was so delightful to get in touch with the other parts of the world.
Yes. Isn't it beauty? I tell you, that's one of the beautiful things that came out of the pandemic, is that everyone now feels comfortable speaking to every sphere of the globe. You can just speak to anybody, anywhere, and it's all good. So that's one of the beautiful things that came out of the pandemic. And Pele says, yes, put on your armor of God, and that's so important. Oh my gosh, you have to get ready to go out into this world, and sometimes this world starts right where you put your feet down. Look around you. The world that I'm speaking of might be right a little closer than you expected it to be, with all the people,
one of my favorites,
people that live right in your house. You know what I'm saying? You, because sometimes I am the world that I'm speaking of. Oh my gosh.
That's right. What that song, what I say, Michael Jackson song, Man in the Mirror. You want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change.
Yes. So this is some good stuff. I really
I started to sing it, but I'm waiting on my contract, so I don't want to put stuff out there too early.
That's funny. And one of the things that Dr. Gray said early on in the conversation is that you got to sharpen our skills, and that's iron sharpens iron. But you got to be sharp before you can sharpen your brother or your sister. So you got to make sure you're right. Get that 2x4 out of your eye before you start. Before you start trying to help somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? And that's really important too, Angie, because what I wrote before we came on was lessons we've learned from doing the show. And that is one of them, accountability, because when you notice the things that you're not doing, like I heard that one of my mentors was speaking today about studying. You know, and remember I was telling you, I said, I can move through life, but what I don't want to do is stop and get out of my comfort zone. And getting out of my comfort zone means that I got to do something extra, because I hear things. I'm very much of an audio learner. You know, I can hear it and I can go with it. But when I really want to intensify, I need to read and study. That's why when I said about the science of getting rich, I hear it. Now I have to go back and not just hear. Now I need to go back and touch it again. Meaning I got to start reading it. You know, because that's another touch. You know, we read it, we hear it, we speak it. Those are touches. So, and that's what I'm saying about accountability. I'm accountable to myself to know that I have not done enough on that step, which is studying my truth. So I got to get pulled back. And this is still part of that self. What we say that self. What we talking about at the beginning?
Self-care.
There you go.
Yep. Learning.
Yes.
You got to be intentional about your learning.
Yep. especially, and some of us, it does come late, because we were talking about earlier. Also, this ties back into what we talking about with coaching, and Essie Berry was doing a little show a few minutes ago. And I just told us it's funny because Dr. Angie and I just talked about that when you have a coach, because some of those things that, like, I know what to do, but I will bypass that because I'm so eclectic. I'm so busy. Boom, boom. I'm moving. And my stuff gets done because I work very well in chaos. So imagine when I stop and I study. And when I come back out, imagine that, Terry. Y'all better get out, because that girl gonna be rough then. She's gonna be rolling. So,
right. And that's also the difference between just glossing over stuff, just reading it lightly. Sometimes you have to actually study. And Lawana brings up that point. She says repetition over and over again is learning. And there's so much power in repetition, because you can, like books that I'm really into, I listen to them on the Audible, and then I actually read it. Then I read and listen at the same time. Then I take notes. I mean, the books that I'm really into that I feel are making a huge difference, go back and forth to that thing over and over and over again. And every single time I hear something, see something, feel something, think something that I didn't the first time or the time before that. So it's important that we do that whole repetition thing. It's important. It's you know, you can say that you read a book, but if you read that book 10 years ago, heck, if you read the book 10 days ago, it might be different. You know,
exactly.
Absolutely. So,
and we gotta not just read, we gotta comprehend what we read as well now, because comprehension is a big thing too. Because it's amazing how some people can read that same statement, and I'm wondering, you got that from where?
Exactly.
Did you understand? Did you understand what that said? Maybe
you know what causes problems with that is that clutter we were just talking about. That's what Mr. Davis was talking about when he was like, you know, that you can't function in that clutter. You can't comprehend and think about and digest what you're reading or what you're hearing or even what you're watching. There's so many times where there's other things on my mind and my brain is cluttered, and I'll say to my husband, I'll say, I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? Can you say what you just said? And sometimes he looks at me like, dang, I just said that to you. But sometimes if you're not focused on what the person is saying to you, if you're not focused on what you're reading, if you're not focused on what you're hearing, what you're watching, it goes in one ear and out the other, and it means absolutely nothing. Now, maybe it does get to the, what do you call it? The subconscious mind. It might get to the subconscious mind, but the conscious mind, sometimes I know clutter doesn't do well with that. You know, that thing gets messed up a lot for me. So I have to try to, you know, make some sense of it. And I have to compartmentalize things and put them in proper perspective and put them in my own language. So sometimes I hear things, I got to put it in my own words so that I can remember that, so that I can digest that, so that it's more palatable, so that I understand what it is. Because what is coming out of your mouth may not be something that my brain is ready to function with, ready to hear, ready to understand. Now I got to take what you said and say, okay. And it's kind of like, almost like when you're translating a language in your head. Same kind of thing. You may be speaking the same language, but your brain has to take what the person's saying and then translate it in a way that you're going to be able to respond appropriately to it, be able to remember it, all those things. So it's important.
And you know, Angie, when you said that, that brought up something that I thought about too. That's how come sometimes when we talk about that clutter that's in our head, that's a lot of times why we end up having arguments or misunderstanding. Because I talk about one time, like me and my daughter, we were trying to talk to one another, but she was on one planet, I was on the other planet, and we're talking two different languages trying to understand. Where are we going with that? We ain't going nowhere, because I ain't trying to hear you. You ain't trying to hear me. I'm not trying to learn your language. You ain't trying to learn my language. We have no interpreter in the middle. So just constant, until you have to back up and say, you know what, Jesus, take the wheel. Just take it. You know, time out, take it. But when you're at that point, you have to be also ready to receive what he's getting ready to give you. Because a lot of times we do have the clutter, we clean it up, but we want to tell him how how we want to receive what he get ready to give us. It don't work like that. So either you want to be on two different planets and screaming and yelling and don't want to hear, you want to come on into one and figure it out. So that's when we do have, and that all goes back to accountability, responsibility, holding yourself accountable, because can't nobody change you but you. Now, what you can do is clean yourself inside, and they can benefit from your changes, but you don't change for nobody else. You change for yourself, and if they benefit from those changes, that's awesome. And those are those different relationships. Those are growing pains. That's growth. You have to really get to that point to understand that and work through it. So, and I was going to also want to bring up too when we talk about the different the readings, because that's also the reason why you have Bible study, and then you have books that you have book clubs, because you could be reading Think and Grow Rich, and we're on the same chapter, but you got something that I may have missed. And if we're discussing, that's okay. I see how and we can collaborate. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're right or I'm wrong and you're right, but it's just to understand another mind. Somebody else's mind can perceive and think another way, because it's like what Darren Gibson always says, how do you escape from a prison that you don't know you're in when you don't know you're in one? So if we're not willing to open up and start talking about these different things, we don't know. So that again, and it can start with that basic things like reading books, learning the different things about a book, suggesting a book instead of, I always want to give value. Give some value to somebody else. Talk about something else. Well, what you read today?
We spend so much time talking about what celebrities are doing and how they're living their life, and athletes and all that, and we're not taking care of our own business. We have to do better. We really do have to do better in terms of what we talked about from the very beginning. Sharpening our skills, learning, being intentional about learning every single day. That's not a passive thing. That's something that you got to be assertive about. Sometimes you got to be downright aggressive about it. But you got to do what you got to do in order to become better. I try to make part of my everyday life that when I lay my head down, I know that I've learned at least one thing, and I know that I'm a little taste better than I was when I woke up in the morning. So whatever it is, I'm very intentional about that. That's called living by design and not by thought. You start driving that bus, and you start making sure that you are moving forward and not going backwards, not going sideways. Every now and then you got to glance in the back. Yes, absolutely. But you don't want to stay there. You can't drive with your eyes on that rear view mirror. You got to just keep going back and recycle and rethink things, because again, they're different depending on what your perspective is for that moment. That's why we have to live in the moment and be present in the moment. The past is great for learning some things. You got to make sure you learn that lesson, because we said every experience has a lesson. Every experience has a blessing. So we have to live in the present. We can glance back at the past as a point of reference, and we can think about how we're going to change the present in order to deal with the future. But we got to live in that present moment.
Right.
And the way to do that is to get yourself in it, engage in it. Don't let life just pass you by. You just sitting there watching that and letting it all unfold. No, you got to get in there. You got to get in there with feeling, with heart, with meaning, and do what you got to do. Life is too short. On Friday, we'll be burying my cousin this Friday. And I tell you, she was 59. That's not a whole lot older than I am. And I sit back and I say to myself, wow, life is so short. And sometimes the way you go out is just so instant. You don't have time to prepare. So that's why when we were laughing and playing in the beginning about you don't have to get ready, you got to stay ready. That's how you have to do life. You got to be ready for life every day, because you are not promised. None of us are promised tomorrow. We're not even promised the next hour. It can go in an instant. And the thing, oh my gosh, I was talking to someone, and this gentleman said to me, things that happen to us don't happen in the minutes. They happen in the seconds. That's what you have to focus on, the seconds, because those seconds make all the difference in the world. Look at the seconds that it takes to release a bullet. Look at the seconds that it takes to have a car accident. Just so many things happen in seconds.
Mm-hmm.
They don't happen in days necessarily. They happen in seconds. Look at the collapse of that building. The collapse of that building happened in seconds, in Florida when the condominium collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, we got to pay attention. Minutes matter, seconds matter. And we got to be on top of those things. And the best way to do it is what you said in the beginning. Put on that whole armor of God. Because when you put on your armor, you got business to take care of. And it reminds you that you're here to take care of business. That's why it's important. It's just critical. We got to stop playing at life. Got to stop playing at life. And
I was going to ask Sister LaWanda if she can run that A selection. Stop it.
You are great. And listen, the sermon today that Pastor preached was get over yourself. And that's so true. You got to get over yourself because it's not about you. This life is not about you. It's really not. It's not about me. It's about the people who we encounter, the people who we impact, the people who need us to be focused and in their corner. We can't be in their corner if we all curled up somewhere. Oh my gosh. I recently did I was in, it's Kensington, Pennsylvania. You may not be familiar with this place, but this is a place where you see people literally shooting up in the broad daylight right in front of you. They laying on the ground high. They walking around. They walk in front of your car. They stop in front of your car. It's just bad. It's really bad. And I tell you, it breaks my heart. It just absolutely devastates me to see people in this state of mind. But they're in that state of mind because they didn't put that armor on. They didn't work on themselves every single day. They allowed life to do them instead of them do life, and we got to do better. We have to, because that's no state of mind for any of us to be in. And that's a quick reminder that all you got to do is just look at how the opioid epidemic has impacted the lives of so many. You know why? Because they're trying to get away from pain. They're trying to get away from pain because they don't deal with those issues. When you have issues, and we all have them, we all have issues. But when we take time out to sit down and deal with those issues, face them head on, concentrate on those relationships that we talked about, having loved ones, a relationship with yourself, relationship with your spiritual being, your spiritual man, your inner man. When you have those relationships, and even the relationships of people, our loved ones that we can reach out and touch, those relationships matter. They make all the difference in the world. I know you're going to call somebody up for another selection, so I'm going to be quiet now.
Well, no, we're not going to do the A and B selection. We're going to do the doors of the church is open as a choir lead us in song.
You are just wrong. Just wrong.
You have to go back to them old roots. Everybody who came up in the Baptist church know what that's about when he winds up.
Absolutely.
Let me see what LaWanda says.
LaWanda has something.
You see, you're going to put it on the screen?
Let's see what she's saying. She's saying here, the only difference between us and an addict is that some of us dealt with our issues and we got up. But the addicts didn't deal with the issues and they stayed down.
What's it saying? Let's now say, when life knocks you down, try to land on your back.
I need to know when you're writing your book. LaWanda, I'm waiting.
Who is this math person anyway?
I'm waiting to see when LaWanda gonna write her book because she has some good stuff to say here. We need to have her as a guest on our show.
She got it from me.
That's all right. It's all right. I don't get that. I told you it ain't about us. It's not about us. So that's good. And she may have gotten it from you. That's all good, well and good, as they say. But hey, we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta let somebody know. We have to be a beacon of light and a ray of hope for all that we
Oh,
encounter.
yep,
That's part of the mission
absolutely.
statement of Goodwill Tabernacle Baptist Church.
Because one thing about it, though, we can all say the same thing, the exact same thing, but the message is received from the person who's supposed to receive it. Absolutely. Y'all heard it, right? We can all say the exact same thing, but that message is for the person who was supposed to receive it, meaning that your story, you can have the same story, you can have the same likeness, but it's for those whom you are ordained to touch. Absolutely. So there's plenty of room, again, at the top. That's absolutely, because this is an abundance word. So that is why we should always treat. Okay, go ahead. This is why we should always treat everyone with respect, because we just do not know how life may knock us down. Yes, that's true. That's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we never know. I don't know about you, but I have been blindsided a time or two. And I'm quite sure there's some more sucker punches coming along the way somewhere. But, you know, we never know. And we have to be ready. We have to be ready to get back up, because even the Bible says that a righteous man falls 7 times. So if he falls 7 times, that means he's getting up. You got to get up and get back in the ring. You got to get back in there and do the fight. And I can remember a time in my life where, oh my gosh, I was just getting punched around and knocked around left and right. It was just one thing after the other, and it was devastating. And I was laughing and joking about it after the fact, after I got through, after Jesus got me through, after I got through, I was able to laugh and play about it. But my husband, he would brush off my face, dust off the curb dust, put some grease on, and say, "All right, get back out there, girl." You know? And I tell you, that's
he
what
threw you back in the ring.
We need somebody in our corner, man. You can't do this by yourself. It's too much. It is too much. As a wife, as a mother, as a child, as an employee, as a parishioner, the roles and the hats that we wear is too much for one person if you're not getting some help with that. If you're not being able to unplug and use some sort of a healthy, productive outlet. Because see, when those outlets are not healthy and productive, you end up laying on the street and shooting up in the street. That's what happens. So we have to remember that we got to take care of ourselves. We have to do the right thing by us. And what's right for you may not be right for me.
Yep.
And that's why we can't be preaching to people about what you got to do. It ain't what you got to do. Here's what works for me. Take what you can from it. What you say,
eat the meat,
absolutely.
Eat the meat, not the fat. Yep. You get what you're going to get.
So Luana says, amen. We forget that yea, though we walk through the valley, we forget that we are going through. And see, that's the thing. The difference is that we go through, but more importantly than that, we have to make sure that we grow through. So as we are going through some things, we all going through. And look, in our culture, and that African-American culture, particularly women, we said, girl, I'm going through. And we all know what that means. And we don't even have to know what the specific issue is. But we know when somebody say they going through, they mean they fighting for their life. And it's so important that we got to be prepared. We can't go to a gunfight with a knife. The warfare that we fight is spiritual warfare. And we got to get right with our spirit. So again, I'm going to show you this book one more time and tell you that you got to get on Amazon and get this book, because this book going to help you deal with your spiritual man. And then
we do that today, y'all.
And then you got to do this one, which is all about purpose. And that one is about purpose. And Yaschica, we spoke earlier about the fact that as we get closer to our Creator, as we get closer to what's important to us, what matters to us, what we like to do, we get closer to our purpose. And once we get to our purpose and we know what our purpose is, it's all gravy from there. Now, Is it going to be drama free? No. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to be without trouble, without issues? No. But I tell you what, it will be. It'll be well worth it. It'll be significant. It'll be that you are doing your part. You'll be doing what you were created to do. Makes all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world.
Absolutely. After the show, we are going to put all the books that Angie and I just showed. We can put the links into our Facebook page, Conversation for the Soul, as well as I'm going to put a QR code because we talked about diffusers and essential oils and the moves. We talked about all that. So we're going to put something special in the Conversations for the Soul Facebook page. So you have to go there and look because I'm not going to even tell you what it is in order for you to it just something different. I always say try something different, to help you out. And if I find something of value, I'm always willing to share. While you're doing
that, make sure you like our page, share our page, subscribe, and come back and see us the next time you see us on. Get the notifications. When you share, when you like, share, and subscribe, you get the notifications. You'll know when we're on live. And while replays are great, it's even better when you're there live because you can interact. We can get a chance to take your feedback and your comments and your input and all that and your questions. And again, as we're getting ready to close out, Yaschica B, I want to just holler at real quick, Mr. Davis for joining us. Thank you. Esaveri for joining us. Dr. Gray for joining us. Trying to see everybody. Pele. Lawana, Eric, Kifampa. You think I said that correctly? How do you say Eric's last name? Kifampa. Oh, you ain't going to help me out. You're just going to leave me out here on my own. Oh, I'm out here now. You're just going to leave me out here. Okay, all right. I remember that she could be. I'm going to remember that.
This is what I've been practicing, Angie. This is what I have been practicing, that I don't always have to speak. Even if I know 2 + 2 is 4, I don't have to speak. Because that's my biggest thing. I always want to answer. But nope, I've been practicing that, and I have been coming into so much peace with myself. Because I had an incident that happened that I said this, somebody said this, and I was like, I had wrote all that, typed all that. I didn't ask you for but I said, I erased it all. Erased every bit of it and just left it at that. Because I ain't asked you for that. I asked you for anyway.
That's growth. That's growth. And I love it. And guess what? Yeah. Iron sharpens iron. Sometimes we have to remind each other of that. So when you see me doing what I got to do, look, just tell me, here, Ange, why don't you
go ahead and sip on that cup
of water. Drink some water, hydrate, get yourself together, get your mind together, get your tongue together.
Because I'm just telling you, sometimes just don't. It's like you don't have to respond all the time. Just some questions don't deserve an answer either. So that's that wiser wisdom. I pray for wisdom, but most of all, I pray for the ability to know when to apply. Because you can have that wisdom and you can have that knowledge, but if you don't know how to apply it or when to apply it, it does no good. I'm just telling you, take it from me. Yep, take a sip and mind business.
One good sip at a time. Amen.
One good sip at a time. And then what we say, sip slow.
That's it. Sip slow. That little word is what brought us together. Never ever forget that. That one little tiny word, 3-letter word, is what brought us together and has allowed us to walk in our purpose. The purpose where we are blessing other people. And while we were thinking about the books, I did want to holler this out. Can you see that? Above and Beyond by Dr. Annie Gray. Just want to make sure that I shout him out because this is another good book. And his other book is Quitting was Not an Option. So,
not an option.
So those are some good books. Go to Amazon, find each and every one of those books or our web pages. And Yaschica B, I'm going to ask you to close us out because we have come to the bewitching hour.
Yes, we are right there at it. So I'm going to close us out quickly. One thing that, like Dr. Angie and I, because we had to pivot for this show because we initially had another guest that's coming on, but he's coming on next week. So please come back and tune in, because that's going to be, I'm telling you guys, the next 2 weeks is going to be something that you don't want to miss. One with Carlos speaking to our culture that we can do better. In the second week, we're going to have Desi Lapova. I hope I didn't pronounce it wrong, who's going to talk to us about her life story and why it's important to have multiple sources of income and what that means. And 1 week after that, we're going to go into, and I hope we can invite Dr. John E. Gray on and a couple others. We're going to talk about the value of coaches, why you should have a coach if you're trying to build and live and thrive in this world, right? So one of the things that I do want to just reiterate, come back to what we've come to learn over the course of doing our shows, is that we've learned what consistency and preparation, the importance of it. We've also very much honed in on accountability and responsibility. So if you don't get anything else from our show, you're definitely going to get that from us. And one thing I do want to tell you, do something different. Love on somebody else. Try something different, whether it be a new food, a new drink, or just say hi to somebody else that you don't normally say hello to. Because again, I think one of our commenters commented about that. You don't know what people are going through. That hello, that you look nice, and be sincere. If you give someone a compliment, give somebody a compliment. Give yourself a compliment. Tell yourself you look good. Thank yourself for getting up in a better place, in a better mood. Command your day. Every single day that you have breath in your life, thank yourself and give yourself a compliment. And then that way you can compliment others throughout the day and do something different. Bless someone else through your blessings. You know, how hard would it be? I know we're struggling. Some of us say struggling. I don't consider it a struggle, but give somebody $1 or $5. You never know. Buy them lunch. You just don't know what that can do for somebody's spirit. Because we all said about the going through, we don't know what somebody's going through, but I do know this. You do not have to tear down anyone's kingdom while building your empire, because there's plenty of room at the top. It's the bottom that's crowded. Thank you, guys.
Amen. That is so true. And we just, again, want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for joining us, because without you, without people participating and having feedback and input, it's just Yaschica B and I having a phone conversation. So we thank you for joining us. These are conversations that we believe that matter. These are conversations that we believe are making a difference in the lives of others. And that is what allows us to walk in our purpose and to sleep faithfully and good at night, because we are doing what we have been called to do. So thank you. God bless you all. We look forward to seeing you. Like, share, subscribe, join us.
Good night.